My name is Joel Naumoff. I'm a Senior Director of IT Security and DevOps, IT DevOps at Tripwire Incorporated. We've been a player in the configuration management space for about 15 years. We started in the FIM space and graduated from that to compliance and then into security and configuration management and policy management. I think the ease of use definitely has to be a consideration and a focus in any IT strategy, especially information security strategy. Because if you don't make it easy to use or understandable, people will find ways around it. The great thing about SaaS, the great thing about the Salesforce.coms of the world, the Boxes and all those folks, is that they have made it easy to use and they've made it very functional and very comprehensive. And going back to IT's relationship to that, we do have to meet the users halfway, at least halfway on this. By making access to resources a lot easier than it has been traditionally in the past. Again, if you don't do that, if you don't focus on the ease of use and the functionality, then you're going to end up right where you were before you started, which is you're not going to know what IP is leaving, you're not going to know what resources are out there. It's going to be a game of shadow IT and whack-a-mole. So our policy was basically a blind policy. We put it out there that no restricted or confidential data could go out to any cloud infrastructure unless it was on the approved list. And it was difficult to enforce. So with individual usage of the cloud, we didn't really understand what was happening. We took a look at Netskope and a couple other companies to help us really kind of rein this in and understand where data was going and how it fit or didn't fit within our information security policy. So it was really insightful as to what was going out and who was sending this stuff out and where it was going. That was very insightful. We started taking a look at CASB solutions probably about a year before we decided on Netskope. It was quite an in-depth process. We looked at companies that we already had relationships with that quote-unquote featured a CASB within their product, or had an inexpensive or an expensive add-on that would quote-unquote service the CASB need or what we were trying to accomplish with this. What I would say is that a lot of those companies, well-known companies, it's CASB light. It's almost malware searching and that type of thing. If you really want to understand comprehensively what's leaving your network, where's it going, I don't think those kind of add-on solutions would work. That's what led us to Netskope. It was by far the most comprehensive one out there. It does allow us to prevent data from going to Box or Dropbox, or we could turn a few switches and make that data, one way, whether we want people to read only or drop stuff. We can do that, and that's very helpful. Slack and tools like that were used for unsanctioned types of workloads. And so what we did with that information was we came back to the businesses and said, okay, look, if we're going to use these collaboration tools, let's pick one. We'll work with you to pick one. We'll go through the journey of selecting a vendor and we'll sanction it. We'll sanction that vendor. But we didn't know, and we wouldn't have known had we not had a CASB solution like Netskope, if that was going to happen or not. I think Netskope is very useful in really assessing where you're at, especially if you're just starting the journey, or even if you're in the middle of your journey or you think you've arrived. It's still worth validating where your data is going and what kind of data it is, and having control over that. Because it's one thing to understand where it's going and all that stuff. If you can't do anything about it, it's not as useful. But I think using Netskope, you actually can do something about it. You can affect change, and you can provide visibility and transparency, not only to the InfoSec group, but to the business as a whole.